As of July 2019, 4,316 Falun Gong practitioners have died from torture and abuse inside China. And these are only the cases that we know about. Due to this censorship and surveillance imposed by the Chinese regime, filing such reports carries difficulty and risk, and so the actual number is likely many times higher. During the first half of 2019 alone, it is confirmed that 45 practitioners have lost their lives after being persecuted for not renouncing their faith in Falun Gong. According to Minghui.org, which receives first-hand accounts of persecution directly from China, among the 45 newly confirmed death cases, 27 were female and 18 were male. Their ages range from 28 to 87. The 45 victims came from all walks of life, including a teacher, doctor, engineer, farmer, scientist, and phone operator. We want to highlight 3 of these victims: a mother, a senior citizen, and a former martial arts champion. These are their stories. Ms. Kong Hongyun, a 47-year-old resident of Baoding City, Hebei Province, fell into a coma on March 8, 2019, while being held at the Baoding Detention Center for her faith in Falun Gong. A tracheotomy was done without her family's consent 3 days later, and she never regained consciousness and died on June 12, 2019. Ms. Kong was arrested earlier that year in January after being reported for talking to people about Falun Gong. She was held at the Baoding City Detention Center, where she went on a hunger strike to protest the persecution. Prior to her latest arrest, Ms. Kong served 2 prison terms for a total of 7 years for her faith. Her tragic death left her elderly mother and daughter in her early 20s in deep despair. The second victim, Ms. Luo Chunrong, a resident of Nanchang City, Jiangxi Province, was arrested on March 31, 2016, while distributing information materials about Falun Gong. She was sentenced to 2 years in Jiangxi Women's Prison in early April 2017. In order to force Ms. Luo to give up her faith, the prison guards placed big speakers in her room and played audio recordings demonizing her beliefs at very high volume for 12 to 24 hours each day. This is a technique brainwashing centers in China often use to pump propaganda into the minds of practitioners for days on end until they can no longer tell their own thoughts from those manufactured by the state. She fainted as a result of the torment. When Ms. Luo protested the torture, the guards forced her to stand for more than 12 hours without a break. Her legs became severely swollen. After both physical and mental abuse failed to force Ms. Luo to give up Falun Gong, the guards sent her to the prison hospital and forced her to take drugs for hypertension, even though she didn't have any high blood pressure. She said she was forced to take approximately 1,200 pills during her imprisonment. 3 months after she was finally released in March 2018, Ms. Luo began to experience intense back pain. Eventually, the bones throughout her body ached. The condition progressed until she was unable to move and was screaming because of the pain. She was reduced to skin and bones and died on May 24, 2019. She was 70 years old. The third victim is Mr. Zhang Hongwei. By the time Mr. Zhang Hongwei was released from a 13-year prison term in 2014 for not renouncing his faith in Falun Gong, the once energetic martial arts champion had completely lost his physical strength. He was emaciated and weak. He was almost blind and he couldn't see things beyond 1 foot away. His back was hunched and his knees were injured. When he walked, he had to lean against the wall and take tiny steps. Mr. Zhang was arrested again in 2015 for filing a criminal complaint against Jiang Zemin, the former head of the Chinese Communist regime, who ordered the persecution of Falun Gong in 1999. He was later released after the detention center refused to accept him because of his physical condition. With his health completely destroyed during the imprisonment, Mr. Zhang's condition continued to deteriorate. After years of suffering, he passed away on May 3, 2019. He was 52 years old. These 3 cases can't begin to represent the thousands of known death cases as a result of the Chinese Communist Party's brutal persecution campaign against Falun Gong. Nor can they represent the millions of practitioners in China that continue to be victims of illegal detainment, harassment, torture, and other abuse for their faith in Falun Gong. As the persecution enters its 20th year, we urge you to give your voice to the voiceless and sign the petition at faluninfo.net/actnow for China to stop this brutal campaign against the peaceful practice.
you.